Yep.
It's too bad I didn't press start a little bit sooner, so everybody could have heard your deep sigh from that that suggestion I just gave you. That was nice. That was like the
Thank
peak
you.
of annoyance. I like it. Mike, Demetrius. No, Rob. He's ghosting us. Rob doesn't like us anymore. Apparently, I must have kicked him off the podcast once I
I've
once I
heard
got
that
this.
about you. I've heard that
Yeah,
once you got successful, Rob got the heave ho.
yeah. So
Stepping
Rob's gone.
stones, man. You look at everybody just stepping stones to the road to greatness.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
That's
it.
right.
Demetrius is next. Yeah, Demetrius. That's why you're on the bottom, Demetrius.
Hey, man, I'm
you're-
honored. If I could be Yertle the Turtle, I'm honored, man.
And sometimes you just got to have fun with it. No, I think Rob is deciding that golf is more important than us again today. He was supposed to be on the show the last 2 weeks in a row, and once the
They've
time
been pretty
comes,
nice. They've been pretty nice days, though. Believe me, if I was a golfer, I'd be out too. But I'm not. So.
yeah. The
Not
moment he gets that phone call to go golfing, he's
Yeah, well,
Mike, Demetrius, Nate,
for
who's
this.
that?
I live for the podcast.
Yeah, well, that's true. You're basically a podcast whore these days.
I am.
Yeah.
Just send me anybody that's got a podcast. Send me an invite. I'll jump on.
All right. Well, I don't know. Let's jump in, I guess. What else we have to do?
Yeah.
Should we start with the Slovenian Euro Tour? Seems like it's a fun thing to start with.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a Euro Tour event, which 9 out of 10 times would be, okay, it's a Euro Tour event, so and so won. But really, with Pia and Josh taking the 2 titles, that's pretty cool. I mean, that's winning the men's and women's tournament. I can't think of that ever having happened before, and certainly not in an instance where, they didn't get married when Pia was like already a star, right? Josh was already the up and coming star, but she has worked herself into winning Euro Tours after her marriage to Josh and learning how to play and playing, sparring with them and getting that mental, edge that she needs to play. I mean, that's pretty cool stuff.
You mean she worked herself into it after Josh's marriage to her, right?
Hey, however they want to frame it, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm a big Pia Filler fan. I'll tell you, the first time I really got to see her play was that she played a challenge match against April Larson. Yeah. And I believe that this was during isolation, and they played a ghost challenge match to 50. And before that, she had I think it's still on YouTube, she had played a race to 15 against a 10-ball ghost on Roy's basement. And I watched her play, and she opened up and ran the first 5 racks playing 10-ball. And I was watching her play, and I was like, I was immediately a fan of hers. I feel that her and the person that she has a lot in common with, I think, in the way she plays and the way she approaches the game is Margaret Fefilova. I think those are they're not the 2 top females in the world, and necessarily. I mean, you've got the Chinese. Some of the Chinese women are just beasts. You've got Kelly Fisher. You've got some really good American women players. But I really think that those are 2 of my favorites, man. I think that Margaret and Pia have both really gone after it as far as like, just trying to play the game as correctly and like, they're very aggressive, assertive. They are attacking. They have a combination of, firepower, good fundamentals, good strategy. Yeah. Here's what I'm saying. It's like when I watch them play, the fact that like I don't even think like, they're good for the women's division. It's like, no, I think they're both amazing players that are playing absolutely right. And I watch them play and I'm just like blown away, and I'm super excited. So well deserved, Pia. Well deserved.
Yeah. Since Fedor's in the comments, all right, Fedor. Here's a hypothetical: you and Christina versus Josh and Pia, race to 100. Who wins and what's the score? How much fun would that be to watch? Scotch doubles.
Wow. Federer go all in right now. I mean, he posts the money right now, no doubt about it. But I am talking about married couples, not talking about boyfriends and girlfriends, right? So as soon as Federer shows me the marriage license,
I'm telling you, for that action, maybe Fedor will drop. maybe for that action, Fedor will drop to a knee. Who knows?
That's right. That's right. No, Federer and Christina against Pia and Josh would be, man, that would be damn close to just straight up even, right?
Well, I think that
I
Christina has
Fedor and Christina.
Christina has a little bit more experience, a little bit. I mean, she's played. Talking about, I guess I feel like I've left someone out because for sure Christina is also just going after it. She's playing in all the events. She's played, I just remember watching her play cash games with like Sean Wilkie and I see her at the Super Billiard Expo playing. I mean, I see her bashing up. I see her playing tournaments, and she's also mixing it up, and she's been doing it a little bit longer at a little bit higher level. So definitely,
that would be where you would think the edge would be. But man, every month that goes by, Pia gets better.
So maybe
turned into a real play.
Yeah. I think it's a good match. Fedor says that they argue too much, so maybe it would depend on if they can. It would depend on if they can give coaching or not. If they're allowed to coach, maybe Fedor wins. If they can't coach, maybe Fedor has a chance.
Well, at the very least, we could put an over/under on how many games it is before Christina throws her cue down and walks out.
Yeah. I'll take the under on that. I think Fedor does it first. I think well, I'm just saying, maybe they'd argue less if Fedor played better patterns. Christina just wants
Yeah, it's always leaving her to tough shots.
That would actually be like, well, I mean, I guess we're kind of branching off here, but I mean, Josh and P, if you go through couples, I mean, if you talk about married couples, and then Josh and P are obviously the number one and number two. Well, the number one, I guess, married couple. I can't think of any. I mean, honorable mention to Ina Kaplan and Jurgen Kaplan. They really play strong. Roman Hebler and Ivan, but Hebler. But I think Josh and P are pretty comfortably number one. Can you guys think of any others? I mean, Tyler and Margaret, I guess now, of course.
Yeah, I would say Tyler and Margaret are probably your number twos for me.
I think. Well. Yeah, Ina and Jurgen is a really, really, really strong player that he just doesn't play very much. But Jurgen Kaplan is a very, very good player.
Yeah,
I think
I don't know, but I just think as far as people who've been out there on that stage. But I think it would be fun as hell to watch. I mean, I think you do it like a Mosconi Cup, that you do some singles and some doubles would be worth watching. Set it up, Nate.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that I'd love to see these matches. So yeah, we should come on, cue it up, Nate. Why don't you put this together? I mean, you got Fedor watching. Why? What does it take? I think maybe if you added all
find
the
a tournament, find a tournament where all four of them are there. Schedule it for the day after. Post some money and.
That's right. I think, Nate, if you give them both like a $20K appearance fee and then 100 in the middle, just kind of let them free roll at it. I think they'd both be willing.
Yeah, I'll just add all $37 I made last year, and I'll throw it in the middle and let them fight over it. I guess another honorable mention would go to Sylvia Liu and Aloysius Yap. Not married couples, but couples. That's a pretty strong.
Robbie and Amber's no slouch either.
Robbie and Amber, absolutely. That's another really good. The current women's world champion. And second place at the Michigan Open, Robbie Capito.
She's not world champion. She won the Canada Open. World champion was Chow.
Oh, whoops. Never mind. That's what I said. Canadian Open. Canadian World. What's the difference? Okay. Well, that was a fun conversation, I guess. Josh.
Well, the other part of that event was, with Mosconi Cup points, not a ton of them because the payout wasn't that great. But here's Mario and Francisco reaching the Final Four again. I mean, they're both hammering at that spot on the Mosconi Cup roster. I mean, they're both. Mario's up there every event, and Francisco was shooting for his fourth Euro Tour title. So I love what's going on there. I can't wait for the U.S. Open to see what happens with those guys playing, because there is some wiggle room there for some really wild stuff to happen. It would take a couple of, Albin's got to fall off a cliff really quick to kind of open up the door, but it would be fun to see, some action happen there.
I think that's of value to talk about later on in the podcast, don't you?
Just give me the cue.
All right, we'll talk about that a little bit later on. Let's let's talk a little bit more about the Slovenian Euro Tour, I guess, in a sense that Josh wins over Francisco, and again, it's just Josh or Francisco's winning every single one of these. Ralph Souquet, pretty awesome to see. He gets third, tied with Mario He. So I think that's Ralph Souquet at age, what is he, like 50, 51 maybe? Still getting it done? Does that sound right?
Yeah, he's got to be right there. Yeah, Ralph, yeah, he played great. And then I saw the beginning of his match against Josh where he hammered 2 straight 9 balls into the rail in the first 2 games, and he was gone after that, which was a shame.
53 years old, yeah. The match before that, where Josh played Niels Fine, I watched that one from start to finish. That was a fantastic match.
That was a great match. Yeah, Niels another one. I mean, he's no spring chicken. He played great.
Yeah, he's 40, 45,
46, 44, like 45, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, is there what do you do you think that there's something about the Euro Tour format that allows maybe some of the older guys to still be able to compete? Mike, Demetrius, what do you guys think?
I think that Ralph plays the type of game. Oh, I'm sorry. What's that?
Mike just said buckets.
Oh, no. I think that Ralph plays the type of game that doesn't deteriorate with age as quickly as somebody who relies strictly on like stroke and striking. So, I think that, I think that Ralph, you watch him play matches and you can see how that style could scale well into his 60s without dropping too much speed. Niels is one of my favorite players of all time. What I think about Niels is he's never been like number 1 in the world. And I'm not talking ranked. I'm talking like reputation wise. There's never been a 1 year where everyone's like Niels is on top of pool. He's the best. He's the GOAT. He's always been like number 3 or number 4. In the early 2000s, it was like, Alex was at the top or so-and-so was at the top. And then Shane was at the top and then Filler or Fedor or Shaw or, somebody. Niels has never been at the top, like where he's the first guy. But man, for 20 years, he's always been 4th or 5th, you know what I mean? And he's just steady. So I think that there's different types of competitors. I think there's some that get real hot and have big explosive, runs. I think there's some guys that are really dominant and get to the very top. I think Niels and Ralph are both in that category of people that were maybe never considered the best ever, but they were considered like were just consistently winning at the highest level for 20 years. I think that's their.
To me, Ralph was closer to that than Niels. I mean, Ralph was a pretty dominant player for, the 2000s. That 2000 to 2010, he was right there with anybody for that decade. Niels, you're right, has never really been looked at as a top player in the world, but nobody works harder than him. No one is, put more time in at the table than him. And it's great to see him playing great. As far as how they can continue to do well on the Euro Tour is, it's really kind of a crapshoot, given how much talent is in there for one, and just I don't know. I hate bashing the Euro Tour, but it's just so easy to do. I mean, they do play on buckets. They do, it's not the most, lively event in the world when they have Euro Tour events. I mean, you talk to European players who absolutely hate Euro Tour events. They just don't get motivated. They just go there, they screw their cue together, they play, they try to win, but there's just no drive to go win Euro Tour events. So, I mean, there's a lot of different factors. It's still, you win 3-4 Euro Tours in a year like Francisco did, big stuff. I mean, you're obviously playing great pool, but never just overall, never been a big fan of the Euro Tour.
Fair enough. I think with Niels,
yeah,
I think you're right. I mean, Ralph for sure was just top elite, dominant, for 10 years, and even still continues to be competitive. I think Niels has always been a little bit not under the radar, obviously, but like he continues to win majors. I mean, he won the World Pool Master a couple of years ago after recovering from an injury. He's not always winning these majors, but he's getting himself into contention of a lot of majors. He's making, he's kind of like, he's amazing, man. I think Niels is, if when we're asking like, how is it that they can still get to 4th, 3rd, 4th, or make these deep runs? It's like, well, it is hard. It is hard for them to win. The difference between a 3rd and a 5th versus a 1st is two heavy pressure matches against the world's absolute best, and sometimes for Niels and Ralph to win against Sanchez and Filler back to back under the finals lights. It's pretty hard, but the fact that they're consistently, I just think that these guys have been very, very, very steadily winning their share of majors throughout their career. And they've never dominated everything necessarily, but they're always getting their share of the majors, and they're always getting their share of the prize money.
Yeah. Ralph's in the Hall of Fame, and Niels probably will be in the next couple of years. So, the proof is in the pudding as far as longevity and total number of titles for sure.
And I mean, lots of people don't know this, but remember, Niels is actually blind in one eye. He was born blind in one eye, and the fact that have you ever Demetrius? Have you ever tried closing an eye and playing pool, just one eye?
No, I've tried closing both eyes. I don't know if one eye would be. No, seriously, I'm not joking. One eye would be weird. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he was born blind in one eye, so it's he's used to it.
For 45 years, you're used to it. Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't know anything different. But the idea that that's not an advantage. It's still going to be a disadvantage. You're just making the best
more to overcome. I have played on one leg with the caveat of it's the Flamingo stance. You have to play on one leg with the other leg folded up on your knee. I'm not joking. It's if you've never tried the Flamingo stance, for people that anyway. My daughter told me I had to quit impersonating a flamingo, but I had to put my foot down. No.
Oh, do we close out the podcast on that and just go home or what? That's a total mic drop.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So we kicked off Rob and we kicked off Demetrius. God, that's a bad joke. No, stop. All right. Okay. We got to move on.
That's with bird puns, two can play at that game. Okay. Forget it. All right, we'll move on.
All right. So I guess going through the quarterfinals, Niels Fine loses to Josh Filler. Mark Diesterbosch loses to Ralph. Sanjin Pelovanovic, and then Wojtek Szewczak. So those are your finalists. Yeah, your 5 to 8. Let's move on to, I guess, the ladies' side, because ladies got to get their shine too. And Pia Filler, I think this is her first Euro tour that she won. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's pretty awesome. Congratulations. I mean, it's not going to be her last. I'll guarantee you that. And you know what? She beat Ina Kaplan in the finals. So Ina Kaplan, like I said, her husband is Jurn Kaplan. The guy plays really. I think his Fargo's in just shy of 780. I think he's in the upper 770s. So the dude can play. He just doesn't play very much. And maybe he'll play 4 or 5 or 6 events a year. That's a pretty strong couple. Definitely an underrated one. I don't know. Any guys have any thoughts on that? I guess the finals, right? I'm
trying to think about these, married couples, and a lot of times we're looking at, the top men players that can, marry or couple with a very competitive female player. I'm thinking about it the other way. So if one of those Chinese women like Saming Chen, I'm not saying but I'm just saying anyway. I was thinking of being
trying to matchmake.
Maybe I could marry into some talent and actually be a good team. So, if you're ever in Robbinsdale, Minnesota,
doubles.
Yeah, I also lied. Urine is only a 763. Still pretty strong.
Geez.
Damn it! Fake news. Hashtag fake news.
There you go.
So third, fourth goes to
good luck,
Melanie Subaglov, and I can do this one. Elul Kabaroglu. I can do that one. I've practiced that name.
Why?
Because she played in my women's VG9 event. So I practiced. I made her send me the proper pronunciation. I sat there and practiced it for
phonetic spelling. Yeah.
15 minutes. Yeah, I did too. Alula, she's so nice. She's really a sweetie. I guess any thoughts on the women's side? I guess we spent a lot more time on the men's side, but most of that was just talking about the couples and pools. So.
The women's side in the Euro Tour, seems to be, really there's different names in the top four virtually every time. It's not a tour that's dominated by one or two players.
Yeah. I mean, this year I've seen Ina Kaplan's name at the top a lot. Same with Pia, but at the same time, the Euro Tour women, and maybe it's just because there's less money in women's pool at this point, but you just like Kristina Zlateva, for example, is just in Michigan, and she's going to be in Puerto Rico. So I mean, like the idea that she's going to the U.S., back to Bulgaria, then to Slovenia, then back to Bulgaria, I would have to assume, and then to Puerto Rico, and then back. I mean, that's a lot of travel costs.
Yeah. Did she play? She played in Slovenia?
Yeah, she ended up getting to the quarterfinals. She lost to Melanie.
I have a question. There's a name that I know she's not completely missing, so I'm sorry if I'm revealing my ignorance here, but Jasmine Ocean, the last few years I've seen her pop up here and there, but as well as she plays, what's going on with Jasmine? Is she not competing as much, or is she not on her game, or is she?
I think it's a lot. I mean, you had two things. You had the pandemic, which shut everything down, and then you had her on Dancing with the Stars for about 5 months, where she didn't touch a pool cue.
I didn't know this.
And after that was over, she finished second in this Dancing with the Stars competition. So she kept going from week to week to week to week, or every 2 weeks or whatever they would do it. And I think she was 100% invested in that during that time. And I'm sure the post, finals, for the next month, she was probably still had tons of stuff going on relative to that. So
when was this, Mike?
She was kind of really checked out. This was last year, right? Wasn't it 21? The second half of 21, something like that.
I'd never heard of this. That's amazing.
Yeah, and then she does a lot. She does a lot in Austria as well with their national team. So she actually has, like, in Austria, my understanding is they actually have scheduled practice weeks. So like for 2 weeks, they have to go to a facility and they have to practice. Same with Albin. They have to be there as part of the national team. So like for those 2 weeks, I mean, it doesn't really matter what's on your schedule. You have to be there as part of the national team, is my understanding. Yeah. Now there might be a little bit more flexibility in there than I would know, but they have to do stuff like that. But she's been playing a lot of the WPBA events. I think it's just, I think a lot of it's just like, what do you want to go to a Euro Tour? Like, what is the benefit for her to go to a Euro Tour? If she snaps off 20 of them,
that's why a lot of these top players don't even bother, men and women.
Yeah, if she snaps off 20 of them in a row, does that add to her legacy? Probably, but in like the most minute of ways. If she wins one, it's like maybe 3,000 euros. You're going to be investing 1,500 euros.
There was a period of time where, I mean, she's been playing for a while. There was a period of time she was dominant sure. Euro Tour women's player, for years. So this is just, I think, that part of her career where she's like, I don't need to beat my brains against the wall for $1,000 first prize with 64 women anymore. I'll pick my spots and do what I want to do. Albin's the same way. You don't see Albin playing in all these Euro Tour events.
Very, 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 very few, if any. He's played any for a long time.
He said publicly he hates them, absolutely hates them. It's like a chore to go to them. He doesn't get, interested. He doesn't, I'm sure he tries hard, but he's just not into it at all. So, I think some of these players get to that point in the Euro Tours, they don't need it anymore. And if they don't need it, they're not going because it's just.
Well, I know that's why, for me, that's kind of why I don't play the Euro Tour. I mean, if I could win a few of them, but then it's like, I have to travel. I have to get up in the morning. And I'm like, I don't know. No.
5,000 here, 5,000 there. What's the point?
But seriously, I do think that Jasmine and Albin, when we're talking about couples playing pool, I think that we overlook them. And anyway, I think that would be a powerhouse couple as well. But yeah, I just was wondering. So thanks for the update on Jasmine. Shout out to Jasmine Ocean. Okay, good.
Clearly, being the toughest brother.
And Albin would be a
well, I mean, it's a
brother and sister. I'm sorry, they're brother sister. I got their brother sister. I'm sorry. What am I talking about? I'm sorry, guys. For some reason I was thinking of them as a couple just because they have the same last name. I'm confused.
I was confused there for a second.
They're probably the best brother and sister team. That's for sure.
Well, maybe if we never mind. I was gonna say.
Yeah, just probably bite that one.
I'll just bite that one off.
Yeah, we'll just rewind.
It was good though. It was gonna be a good
rewind to 23:06 minute, Nate, and start again.
We were about to go viral.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna. Yeah. Anyways, let's move on. I don't know. Is that are we good on the Euro Tour? I don't think anyone's going to argue with
more
you
time
about
than we
the
should
Euro
ever
Tour.
spend on the Euro Tour.
Yeah, I agree. All right. I am going to do some self-promotion now. I don't normally do this, but I'm going to, so eat it. We are going to go to the Mosconi Cup. We have a big group of people. We have 30 people in our group. The tickets are already sold out, so you don't get any of those. But we put together some pretty sweet clothing that we are going to be wearing in the stands at the Mosconi Cup. And we are going to open them up in case anybody else wants any of them. So I'm going to show the clothing that we have designed. I know it's awesome. If you would like to go, if you're going to the Mosconi Cup and you want to get yourself one of these just to stand out in the crowd, or if you just want it because you think they look cool, you don't have to be going to the Mosconi Cup to be able to see them. And there are some people in here that are in our group. So Ryan Harmsman, Lil Chris right there. They are both in our group. Here is the jersey that we have created up. As you can see, we have to queue it up on front. We got the Euro and the European EU flag and the US flag kind of draped around the back. It's pretty sharp looking. Here is the jacket that we have created. So this is going to be kind of the same theme, but it's going to be long sleeve. And then here is the t-shirt. So we are going to have all of these available. All you have to do is fill out this sweet form that I did not have readily available because I'm not prepared. But
it's all right. We'll give you all the time you need, Nate.
That's great. Thanks, man. Here is the link to order these. All you have to do is the Google form. So all you got to do is go through and fill out this Google form, and you can order them. From there, I will send you an invoice on them, and you can get yourself a sweet jersey.
You put the Google form up on the chat?
Well, why not?
Yeah, no, perfect.
Yeah. Now, on the back where it says your name, could they actually have it customized to say their name? Or is it? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
No.
You could even put
Demetrius. One of those. They're giving out those little stickers that say "Hello, my name is," and you put your name on that and slap it on the back of your shirt.
Exactly. Yeah. So obviously these are going to be customizable. I probably should have said that. So thank you, Demetrius. Where it says your name on the front.
How much lead time to have it customized, and still get to you in time for the Mosconi Cup?
No problem at all. So the way we're doing it right now is we're doing a 2-week pre-order. From there, they will come to me, and then if you want them to be delivered to you in Vegas, just let me know. There's a place on the form you'll be able to put that in there. If you want me to ship it, there'll be a spot for you to put your address in, and no problem at all. I will ship them out, but you will have them probably 2 weeks before the Mosconi Cup. So even if you're heading out there to Vegas a little bit early, like I am, because I'm going to be doing some content with Florian Kohler, which is pretty fun. You guys gonna have some of that.
You're the coolest guy in school.
That's some of that cool stuff to look forward to. Some Florian Kohler.
Are you going to be the one laying on the table that he's going to masse around you?
Yeah.
He's going to be wearing a skirt with a big slit up the leg.
Yes. Yeah, it's a big old high heels. Yeah, you know how I work. So. If
you
any of those,
you and Florian would then probably be a power couple in pool.
Yeah, I've seen what happens after you're out of the tournament.
Easy.
All right.
I just get hammered.
That's true.
All right. So if you like any of those, check out that Google form. You can fill it out, and I'll promote the other thing that I got going on. I'm leaving tomorrow for the Sandcastle Open. So Ed Ladawi's usually always in the chat room. I haven't seen him yet today, so he must actually be doing his job for a change. Good for you, Ed. I will be flying out tomorrow morning. So if you're going to be in the New York region, or the Newark region, and want to meet up, head over to Sandcastle Billiards. I'll be there all weekend. And because I'm going to be going there, I have a raffle, I guess, for a Predator Q that I'm trying to finish up today or tomorrow, ideally. So I will throw that up here as well. If you would like to get into this little raffle so that I don't have to finish this on the road, here is what the Q looks like. You can check out all of this stuff on the podcast page on how to enter into this, and you can win yourself a limited edition P3. Pretty sweet stuff. All of the ways to do that are on the podcast page or on my personal page. Yeah, trying to fill it today. If not, whatever. All right, so let's actually get back into pool because why not? Let's talk about the river.
Cool. That's a great idea with the jerseys. And now what you have to do is you have to get all the people wearing jerseys together and all the people who buy a jersey and herd them into one room before the Mosconi Cup starts and put together some cheers other than USA, USA, USA. I'm counting on you to bring some energy and excitement to the Team USA fans this year, Nate. You are the MC for the Team USA fans.
Nah. Mike Panozzo.
See, you gotta work on those with the right names, right?
Yeah, it doesn't quite work, right? Yeah, we'll just do extension over and over again, right?
Yeah, no. You got to come up with something.
I'm the least creative.
Matches.
Dude, I am literally the least creative person that you're ever going to find in the entire history of
What
forever.
Do you think the European fans came up with all that stuff by themselves? They cheat. They steal them from the soccer matches.
I'm not even creative enough to steal something. What are you talking about?
Yeah, we're counting on you. Start coming up with some stuff.
We'll have to try to get hammered. I don't know. We'll have to try to get hammered and do something about it. We'll see what happens. All right, let's move on. River City Open, I guess. Fedor's probably gone by now, but Fedor is your 10-ball winner. Again, he just never loses anything that he ever does. So what a guy. What a player. He apparently beats Josh Roberts in the finals 8-8. So
there you go.
It's good to see Fedor's finally
getting the handicap. A couple games or what?
Yeah, it's good to see Fedor's finally getting the games he needs to win a tournament.
Right.
Must have been getting a game or two on the wire. Good for him.
Yeah. So were they really playing on 8-foot tables?
That's what I heard.
I didn't know that there were any 8-foot tables in commercial establishments.
Where was this? I'm sorry, I didn't know what city.
It's Q. Well, give me a second. I don't have it off the top of my head. It was like a Q something.
How about a state?
It was at Q Ball.
We have a state.
Q Ball Billiards in Jacksonville, Florida.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah. 8 foot's an odd size. I think
it's always considered it a straight up home table, and that's it.
Yeah, I've seen a couple pool rooms that have 8-foot tables, but usually they're pool rooms that got tables in the 80s and 90s and just haven't wanted to upgrade them. And so a lot of pool rooms will have like a few A tables for like the players, and then they'll have some recreational area for the league and recreational players. And 8-foot tables, I guess. I mean, Diamond makes 8-foot tables, and yeah.
Yeah, and I know everybody makes them, and apparently they're the hot thing in Michigan. So,
7, 8, 9, and 10 footers.
There you go.
They chose 8. What can you do? I mean, whatever. I mean, if they want to add, there's $10,000 added to this event. If you want to,
knock yourself out.
$10,000 added event. I'm sure that a lot of players will show up here for playing on 2-foot tables.
Yeah, Fedor could play hopscotch. He'd get it done.
Yeah.
He could play Flamingo style and still get it done, right?
That's right.
So Fedor wins. Josh Roberts, I mean, coming into form. I mean, Josh Roberts makes a push at the, going into the U.S. Open. I don't see a reason.
Josh Roberts playing Sandcastle?
Last I heard, he was trying to get in. He never signed up for it. And he was
Earl's spot opened up.
There you go. Did it? We don't know that it did. We just assume it will.
Right? I do know that he's not playing Sandcastle.
Okay, you do know that he's not playing. Okay. I'm telling you what, Josh Roberts, he was my pick a long time ago.
Earl made a pre-tournament forfeit? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, sorry. It's like the forfeits are getting, they're getting earlier and earlier. No?
Yeah.
Okay.
We will talk about the Earl situation.
Okay.
So leave your jokes for then. But
all right.
Come up with them then. They're good.
Yeah.
Okay. So John Salim, 3rd place. 4th place goes to. Sorry. 4th place goes to. Or 3rd place goes to Jeremy Jones. I'm looking at the banks now. Okay, I'm confusing myself. Here we go. Let's go back to the 10 ball. Whoopsies. Fedor Gorst gets first place over Josh Roberts. Jason Shearman gets third. Jean Salim gets fourth. Shane Van Boning and Anthony Meglino get fifth, sixth. Some, I guess there's Justin Hall's in there, way down towards the bottom. So it wasn't a super top field, but there's some pretty good players. Raymond Linares is in there as well. A potential outside chance at Mosconi Cup bid. Jeremy Jones. I don't know. We can talk about it quickly, I guess. Any surprise? Fedor wins again.
No, he's on a tear. One thing I wanted to mention is Jean Salim. I haven't seen his name as often as you'd think I'd see it, as well as he plays. What's he been up to? He pops up now and then. I'll tell you how I met him is I played him in a tournament and I got run over. And I guess I played okay or something because I lost 8-6 or something like that. And afterwards, everybody came up and told me how well I played and congratulated me. And I was like, they congratulated me for getting the 6, and I was like, I was totally perplexed. And then later, I kind of understood, they think he's some great player, and I held myself well, I guess. But I just never been congratulated for losing before. So that's how I got to know Jean Salim, is my point. And then he's gone on and he beat Vilmos Foldesh in a big money match to 75. And he was playing with Danny Smith at Derby, and he was up and coming. And then I haven't seen him for 3-4 years hardly. What's he been up to? Anybody know?
Not really.
He played in
them, but not.
He played in my VG10 2.0 event.
That's right. He gets them good, man. Holy smokes! I guess. Okay, but anyway, no, Fedor, great. What else is there to say? He did it again, Britney Spears style.
There was also a 9-ball banks event. Josh Roberts beats John Salim in the finals. Jeremy Jones gets third place in that. That's pretty cool to see. Jeremy Jones beats Fedor Gorst. Of course, it's a race to 3, so it's not exactly a crapshoot, but it's not exactly a long race even for 9-ball banks. Shane Van Boning and Justin Hall get 5th, 6th. Bit of a surprise, maybe seeing Shane finish so low in both of these, given the fields. But maybe he's still coming back and a little jet lag from his time at the Philippines. But I was expecting him to come back and just be in top form.
Yeah.
Any surprise there?
I think it's desire as much as anything. How much was he geared up every morning for, do you think he was practicing in Jacksonville, Florida, as hard as he does, at a US Open or an international or something like that. So, no excuses, but just curious.
Yeah. And it's really easy to drop a match at pool. Of course the desire is there too, but also, we don't know who Shane lost to. He could have lost to Fedor. And then the thing about it is half the time when Shane plays somebody that's not his level, they might get nervous and dog a bunch of shots to him and kind of give him an easy match. But the other half the time, people just I know that I have to play perfect against this guy, and they do. And so, when you get guys like Roberts and Meglino and Salim playing banks or something, it's no, he doesn't have to win every set against those guys. Not when they're fighting for their life and playing their best. And these guys, because those guys are all not just playing, but they're all deep in the tournament, which means there might be 3 other guys like Josh Roberts that didn't make a deep run. For example, I'm not saying they were even in the tournament, but maybe Billy Thorpe was having a bad day, but meanwhile, Josh Roberts and John Salim are playing their best. So you're playing these guys at their best when they're feeling good. They're used to the table. It's, it's a weird game, banks. So, yeah.
Yeah. He lost to Fedor on the B side and he lost to Jean Salim on the A side. So, yeah. Okay, well, any closing thoughts on the River City Open?
I'm good.
Okay, so let's move on to, I guess, the post that Earl Strickland made, where I guess I can quote it verbatim, because why wouldn't I do that? But essentially, the idea is Earl Strickland has COVID. And while that's not something that it's joke worthy because it can be a very serious thing, it really adds a wrinkle into, I guess, for my money, I don't see how he was ever going to be on the Mosconi Cup team anyways, especially after the Turning Stone incident. But there's still a lot of people that had him pretty comfortably in. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, someone just posted that he decided to get COVID early this year, so he couldn't get chased out of the Moscone Cup like he did last year. Which you don't wish him ill for him, but
No.
But yeah, he's good for the next 90 days then for sure.
I guess here's his actual post. Been feeling terrible, went to urgent care, and I have COVID for about a week now. So on the mend. So of course we wish Earl a speedy recovery.
Yeah.
We would like to be able to see you still at the U.S. Open
if
possible.
Good side of it is if he's had COVID for a week and he's got a week before the U.S. Open starts, there's a pretty good chance to test negative by this coming weekend. If he's improving on a day-to-day basis, and if that's the case, then he could still play in the U.S. Open because I really do think he's got to play the U.S. Open to have any shot at Moscone consideration. He's got to show what kind of form he's in against a big field. And I hope he does. I mean, I hope he plays for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I of course wish Earl a healthy, speedy recovery. I just maybe I'm too optimistic, but I just feel I hope he just walks it off and bounces right back and comes on strong. And then I'm sorry, I got distracted by a comment. I don't think I'll even respond to it. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I wish Earl the speedy recovery. I mean, obviously we want to see him in every event possibly, right? We don't want to see him have to miss any events. But I mean, even if he plays in the U.S. Open, I still don't. I just don't see. We're going to talk a little bit. Or I guess we're going to talk in a few. Maybe we can transition this right into talking about the Moscone Cup now, because of course the next week is going to be really our second and third player will be decided by the end of next week. So
yeah, right.
I just don't see how Earl Strickland makes Team US. I mean, unless he qualifies.
You're looking at worst, you're looking at a fifth spot that's completely wide open. So, so nothing in that spot would surprise me. There's a lot of people who've worked hard this year to try to get that spot. They'd all be first timers. They'd all be rookies, not at the top of, anyone's playing list, right? Earl is not. So, you could understand what's going through Jeremy's mind in terms of trying to drill down to what you might do with that fifth spot. And that's assuming that that Oscar and Billy get selected one way or the other. Oscar's getting ready for Moscone Cup. He's got the U.S. Open coming up. He got drilled by John Mora. So, you want to have people playing well and people with some experience and people who can withstand the heat. So from that standpoint, I think Earl's always going to be in the picture.
Did you just say that Earl can withstand the heat?
The pressure of hitting a ball in a match, yeah. Yeah, the pressure of
everything that surrounds it.
Yeah, the peripheral, the ambient noise, yeah, maybe not so much. But if you're looking at, making a shot under Moscone Cup pressure, I'd take him over Shane Wilford tomorrow on a key shot in a match, probably. So so as long as that's out there, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
I just don't see how, if you can't handle the crowd at Turning Stone, how are you going to handle the crowd at the Moscone Cup? And maybe with all the extra noises, maybe it becomes that much more easy to make everything ambient. Somebody sneezes at Turning Stone and everybody in the room is going to hear it. Somebody screams extension in the middle of the crowd at Moscone Cup and nobody even bats an eye, right? So I mean, maybe the craziness of the crowd makes it that much more easy for Earl to make it an ambience type of thing. But I just don't see how, if you can't handle it.
Well, I mean, you would assume that they would have crowd control for Earl matches. Have a couple people behind them in front of the front row that's sitting there. Keep everybody.
Do you even believe that?
Do I believe it? I don't think. If he gets picked, I don't think Matchroom wants to see a live TV show go off the rails. So would they be smart to do something to protect? I mean, there was talk last year where I think Jeremy was considering talking to Emily about being able to sit chair side near Earl to keep him on the rails. You know what I'm saying? So, I think that if he were picked, I do think Matchroom would be smart to make sure that things didn't get out of control.
Well, I think that
because they've seen what happens. They've seen what happens when it does in previous years. The last time being, I think, 13, which was just an awful experiment. And so, you'd have to give that some thought.
I think that you're right. I think that there's a comment I kind of agree with this. Mosconi is a circus, and Earl fits the clown role they want. End of story. I mean, ultimately, Matchroom wants ratings. They always try to find a way. Last year's U.S. Open, it was all about Judd Trump trying to bring in the snooker fans. They're going to try to do.
Have to worry about Judd Trump embarrassing them.
What's that? Yeah, no, fair enough.
Worry about Judd Trump embarrassing them, so they wouldn't have to worry about an embarrassing live TV show, right? So
understood.
They're worried about that.
My point is that they want a mix. They want, they don't want an Earl that's going to start like destroying the event. But if they had an Earl show up that played with the same stoicism as a Jeremy Sosi, then they'd be like, oh, come on, man. We want, it's like they want the right hot cold. They want the right, so like you're saying,
we all want that. We all would love to see that out of Earl. We'd love to see Earl go in there, show some fire, get into a little bit, hold his nerve, make big shots, whatever. We all would want that, and Matchroom would want that. But is there a better chance with Earl than most other players that could go sideways? 100%.
And my point is that it just depends on how we're making the decisions. Because if we're making them for ratings, Earl becomes a stronger Mosconi Cup candidate than if we're making them for, it depends. And of course, then just play alone. Play alone. The fact is that I don't really measure players by what they might do. It's almost like. Would you rather have an employee that you could count on to show up and do their best and do a very good job? Or would you rather have an employee that when he shows up is amazing, but half the time he's drunk and doesn't show? It's like, which employee would you rather have? And for me, I don't know, maybe I got some old fashioned thing, but I'd rather have a guy that shows up and gives his best and you can count on him to do the best he can on every day. And I just feel like with Earl, I, as a captain, would not want somebody on my team that I couldn't rely on to manage themselves. And that's it. But then we're not, that's why, but then I see that my selection would be based on who I want to give opportunities to and who I think is going to show up and do their best, not on ratings. And so that's why I'm not the Mosconi Cup captain. So,
well, I mean, every captain's going to have a different angle at it. And Jeremy, I'm sure, thinks that, with his history and experience and his history with Earl, that he could control him. I think that's part of what plays in Jeremy's mind, is that I think I can keep Earl focused and dial ahead. Can he? I'd have to wait and see. But I think all of that, all I'm saying is that I think all of that is keeping Earl in the picture when a lot of us think it shouldn't even be consideration. Nate?
I'm just agreeing that I don't think it should be a consider. Let's put it this way. Obviously, we know that Earl in 2001 may have reached the highest high of any pool player to ever touch a pool cue. We're not questioning that, but that was 21 years ago. Do you think right now that Earl, with all of that experience, gives you a better outcome potential than somebody like Josh Roberts? Do we think that Josh Roberts will wilt under the Mosconi Cup pressure? I don't. I think Josh is made for that.
I think everybody wilts under the Mosconi Cup pressure the first time they're out there. Everybody.
Tyler didn't.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, he did. But I think, for the most part, guys go out there, they're shaking. You can talk to some of the best players who've ever played.
Mosconi Cup.
And they talk about, just not even being able to feel their arm.
I'm not questioning any of that. What I'm saying is, what part of Josh Roberts' career or his personality or his persona makes you think that he is going to wilt under that? Because I think if there's a player who's built for it, it might be Josh Roberts.
Listen,
I think he's perfect for it.
I like Josh Roberts as a player, as a possibility in his team. I like guys who've won tournaments.
I can't argue with that, but every time you barely ever see
that's playing under pressure. That's playing under pressure.
I will say this: Josh Roberts barely ever plays anything, and when he does, I always see his name towards the top. And again, I'm not saying that Josh Roberts is a world-class player. Like, don't take my words out of context. What I'm saying is we're choosing between some pretty bad options once we get to this number 5, right? Not bad options in general, but I mean, when you look at Europe, their number 5 versus our number 5, we're looking at some pretty bad options. If I'm going to take anybody, I would rather take somebody who I think is going to hold it together and not be a detriment to the team, potentially. Or, I think Ryan Harmson, he kind of maybe said it as a joke, maybe he didn't, but I could easily envision a situation where Earl Strickland literally gives up in the middle of a match and just says, "I'm done playing."
What's the problem is with pressure? When people are under pressure, they go into fight or flight mode. And so what happens is different players under pressure react. Everybody breaks down under pressure, but different players break down in different ways. So me, I could go into flight mode. I could get my confidence can rattle. I could start, kind of like losing confidence in my game. I can tighten up too much. But other players, they get aggressive, or they get too wild, or they get too loose, and they go into like fight mode. And it's a different way of reacting negatively to pressure, but it's still, the outcomes can be just as disastrous. When I play Josh Roberts, he reminds me of Tony Chohan as two guys. I've played Josh, and my feel with both Josh, I played Josh and Tony, and both of those guys refuse to tighten up. They refuse to get too adrenaline up. It's like they just are always trying to be relaxed and calm and laid back. And so when they're underperforming, it just looks like they're too careless and not serious enough, or they're just not playing that well. But when players like Earl deal with pressure, he can go into fight mode. And sometimes that could be explosive, elite, perfect pull. And other times it could be, I'm down 2-0 and I don't like the crowd, so I'm leaving. And so it's funny, man. Pressure affects everybody.
Yeah. I mean, I guess let's go through all the players that it reasonably theoretically could beat. We're looking at Chris Reinhold, Tyler Steyer, Shane Wolford, Nick DeLeon, Greg Hogue, Jeremy Sosi. We're assuming that Oscar and Billy and Sky are in, right? We're starting from there. So
it's I'm not sure why we're assuming that, but we kind of all are.
Sure. I think you kind of have to at this point, but maybe you don't. I don't know. So then it comes down to Earl, Josh, and Tony, and maybe outside Chip. I just don't see those robotic type of players, and I'm gonna kind of pick on Justin Martin here. I really like Justin Martin as a player and as a prospect. I think he's going to be a really, really top player. He's got everything going for him, and he's disciplined, and he's he's clean, he's classy, he always does the right thing. But when you're that robotic and you already have a little bit of a difficulty with the shot clock, and you throw on that Mosconi pressure, I just don't see how that translates well to a Mosconi Cup stage. I'd love to be proven wrong someday, but he really struggles with the shot clock already, and just being that robotic with that crowd, it's going to be really tough. Chris hasn't been playing, so it's hard to want to give him a chance. Jeremy Sosi, I mean, I don't know. It just seems like the guy, every time he plays, he does well, but then he just doesn't play, and he takes himself out of contention because he just doesn't play events. I mean,
yeah,
I don't see Chip being in there because he doesn't play in anything. Tony doesn't really try to play anything unless there's a one pocket event at it as well, but I don't know.
Anthony Baglino. I mean, listen, is Anthony Baglino good enough to hold up under the Mosconi Cup pressure and win multiple sets against Euro champions? It's tough, but it's tough for any U.S. player. So if we're going to be talking about Chip, and if we're going to be talking about Brandon Schuff, I mean, the fact is Anthony Baglino is out playing a lot of events, and he's playing exceptionally well. His Fargo has been climbing and climbing. It was in the 740s, 750s. Now what's it, almost 770? I mean, he's playing exceptionally well, and he's I don't know. So anyway, it's like if we're going to be throwing out names, I thought I'd throw that out.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I was just trying to brainstorm everybody who could reasonably be considered for a fifth spot. So absolutely. I mean, throw anybody else in there that you think. Let's throw Johnny in there. Why not?
The one thing that
okay, maybe not Johnny.
Yeah, probably not. Johnny and Oscar on the same team, that'd go well. But at least we know that Oscar would get paid, right?
Oh.
So
do we
just putting it? But I don't know. The one thing that Jeremy has going for him is that if Oscar's on the team and he picks Billy and Shane and Sky, all 4 have played Mosconi Cups before. So he could take a flyer with someone who hasn't played before. What he doesn't want is 2 first-timers, right? I mean, that would be really pushing your luck. I mean, we talk about a lot of guys. This guy's perfect. It's built for him. He's perfect under pressure. You don't know till you get in there. So I do think that if Oscar does sew up that third point spot or second point spot in at the U.S. Open, then I think it gives Jeremy a little more flexibility.
Yeah, how crazy would it be if we end up if it works out to where, well, we don't know until the end of the. I mean, let's go into, I guess, the actual world rankings, because I mean, I guess that's where this is all going to start at to begin with. On the USA side, not much has changed. Nick got a little bit of a bump because he went to all the events overseas.
Right.
But let's see here. So Sky Woodward is currently sitting at second still with 6,250. Shane, I know. Shane Wolford is sitting at third with 5,505. Nick DeLeon is in fourth with 5,170. Greg Hogue.
So whoever does better at the U.S. Open is
and even if they're not on the list, like if I had the run of my life at Final 8 to U.S. Open, I'd end up in the Mosconi Cup, and I'd be like, "How did I get here?" That would be.
I mean, that's
it's funny.
It's not. I mean, it's not completely unrealistic, right? I mean, well, maybe getting top 8 is unrealistic, but you might have a good. You might.
I'm just saying. My point is I was agreeing with Mike is that everybody's still live when the prize list looks like that.
Just when you're in third place at $6,000, just get yourself to the final 16, and you're like right in the thick of things. So
is it that easy? Maybe I'll play. Maybe I'll jump in. Is it that easy?
Yeah, but what's not easy is for given history and their current state of affairs in the U.S. is American players making the top 16. That's not easy.
If I do run deep at the U.S. Open and back into the Mosconi Cup team, I'm going to make history. I'm going to get up there, leg the ball, and then when I'm up there to break and the camera's staring at me, I'm just going to piss my pants. That would be great. Talk about ratings.
You aren't cool unless you pee your pants.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's
the U.S. Open is going to be for American pool fans. It's going to be a great sweat, right? Because it is just like wide open. I mean, I'm trying to think of where 6,000. What's the difference between Sky at 6,000 and Sky would be the third points guy, right? Because Oscar's ahead of Sky, right?
Yeah.
So let's say Sky is at 6,000. Who's at 4,000? How many people between Sky and 4,000?
Well, there's Nick DeLeon at 5,100, but then there's Greg Hogue. There's Billy Thorpe at 4,300. There is Danny Olson at 30.
So basically, you're saying any of those guys finishes 17 to 32 and gets $2,500, depending on where everybody else goes, they're in the picture. So really, if you're an American player and you finish 17 to 32, if you're above $4,000 at this point, you're in the conversation. That's wild.
Well, Tyler
how many Americans do you think are going to make, if you had to put the over under on Americans making the final 32, what would it be? And if you had to put the over under at Americans making the final 16, what would it be?
Well, if I'm trying to get half on each side, I'm taking 1.5. For the final 16, I'm taking 1.5. For the final 32,
maybe 2 players, and assuming one of them is Shane. So 1 player maybe makes the final 16. Maybe 3 players make the final 32.
I think that's high. I'd say 2.
Yeah,
I mean, if you set the over under at 2.5.
So if you're one of those guys, if you're the one guy who makes that 32, you could be in.
Yeah, Demetrius, if you would have played every event, if you would have played every event like some of these other players, do you realize that you would probably be like the person we were talking about as getting into this?
Yeah, I'd be. Well, that's.
You'd be having to pay him to be on the podcast.
moments like that make me mourn for U.S. pool that's the case. But yes.
Are you on this list? Have you played any events, Demetrius? Are you on this list at all?
I haven't. So I've played 3 this year.
Oh, you
I played
are.
both. I don't
You
know.
are.
Am I?
You're 224th. You're at $400.
Yeah.
That puts
What
you
did I play? I played. Well, I don't know which events count. Like
you
I played
finished 5
Derby
through 8. You're right in there. You finished.
I played Derby and I
right
played a couple turning stones. I've been busy, man. I've been working a lot. Next year, I am going to play more events next year. I just got overscheduled, and anyway, yeah, good stuff.
Congratulations. You're about $4,000. If you played one event in this, if you'd have 10 times that, you'd be sitting in 3rd place.
Hey, man.
Right?
Yeah, it's I'll tell you what.
All you got to do is finish 5 through 8, and you're in.
Yeah, it's not. I'll tell you what, though. To be fair to these players, those numbers are pretty low. But to win $5,000 playing pool, I mean that's like a lot of great playing. I mean, you could go get 9 rounds in on the 9-ball at Derby and make a final 5th, 6th at Turning Stone, and then you could go to like some you could go to some other event and get all the way down to the final 4 and maybe end up in 4th place. And at the end of it all, you got $1,800 in prize money, and everyone's like, "Man, you're not doing that well." I was like, "Yeah, well." You know what? You have to win a lot. For people that are winning tournaments like Fedor, it adds up to 6 figures real quick. But if you're fighting and taking 3rd places and 7th places and 9th places, you can play a lot of great pool and end up with $2,000. That's all I'm saying. So I don't want to minimize what those guys have done because it's
look at
not
all
easy.
the European players that are over $25,000.
Well, yeah.
So they're all playing the same events everybody else does. They're all finishing up there in the money.
Well, there's no question.
It can be done if you're playing well.
When you look at a guy that's like a 750 Fargo or something that's out there fighting hard, it's like, yeah, obviously there's a reason that they're not 800 or 830. But it's easy when we start talking about pool players. If we're looking at Filler and Fedor and all these top dominant European players, if that's the standard we use to look at everybody else, everybody's going to look bad. And it's But I mean, there's just a lot of phenomenal pool players that'll never get to that level that are still out working hard, playing hard, and it's my point is that there's a lot of good pool play that just doesn't add up to tens of thousands of dollars. That's all.
So we're all 3 going to be on site. Demetrius, you hate the Mosconi Cup to begin with, although it sounds like you're getting at least more apt to talk about it, which is fun.
There's some. I don't mind it. It's never going to be my favorite, but I appreciate it for what it is.
A TV show. That's what it is. You might be on it next year. Who knows? There's no reason you can't. Okay. Anyways, so I guess Mike, you're going to be on site with me. What are you going to be looking for as the event goes through and gets deeper in? What are you looking for?
U.S. Open or Mosconi?
The U.S. Open.
U.S. Open, I'm just looking to see what European players, make that push, whether Mario can make a push, Kazakis can make a push to try to hit that point spot. If you're an American fan, your perfect case scenario is Albin going out quickly and Mario finishing 2nd and Francisco finishing somewhere in the top 8. Because that would put them both into the points, and it would force Lely to pick 2 between Shaw, Albin, and Federer. And you'd have 2 rookies on the team, right? So if you're an American fan, that's what you're rooting for. If you're an American fan rooting for, what I'm looking for at the U.S. Open out of the U.S. players is I want to see, with all these guys looking over their shoulders, which ones can hold up under pressure and put 3 or 4 good matches together. I'd be really impressed to see someone do that. And then to me, that would be making a statement.
Sure. I think, man, that would be an interesting situation, wouldn't it? Having to pick 2 out of 3. I mean, at that point in time, that's the situation where you don't pick Federer, I guess. Is when you have.
Oh yeah, I don't think there's any doubt in that case Federer gets left off. But as an American fan, having 2 rookies on Team Europe coming to Las Vegas, your team's chances just get a lot better, regardless of how good Mario and Francisco are, or Kazakis, or whoever would, make that kind of huge jump. That's what I'm rooting for.
Yep. I guess we're all three going to be on site, but Demetrius, I suspect you're just going to be focused on playing.
Yeah, I'm pretty boring. Although I am going to be. There's a lot of people. I'm starting to, I know some of my former students are going to be out there, and some guys that I haven't met yet that I look forward to meeting. So I'm going to be hopefully catching up with a couple people in between matches, but or after I'm eliminated. But what I'm most interested in at this U.S. Open is really. I'm looking forward to seeing what the evolution is as far as the breaking technique and the breaking success. I was really prepared for this 30-second shot clock. I've been having my daughter, I don't know if I mentioned that last week, but I was playing all these sets where she was timing 30 seconds and shouting 10 seconds at me. And then I found out that they're not doing the time clock until you get down to the final 16. So anyway, I don't know, man. I'm not used to playing on brand new cloth. It's always a little adjustment. So what's on my mind is really just, I know who I'm playing. It's going to be a super tough match. I know for me, I've got history and pressures that I've got to prepare for and play I've got to prepare for. And the biggest thing is that break. I can play with the 9-ball on the spot and break for the box on a tight box on my table. But with polished balls and new cloth, it's going to play completely different. So for me, I'm not panicked about it, but I definitely have a sense of urgency to quickly adjust to the breaking conditions and try to be somewhat effective, because that's going to be critical for me to have chances to get anywhere. And so I guess I'm just kind of going through my pre-tournament checklist and trying to get ready because it's starting.
You say you have, your opponent and you have history. Is there something you want to talk about? What
I got no shame. It just puts you in a funny spot. So I'm playing Matt Craw, who's he's a top Northeast tournament player.
Yeah.
I have tons of respect for the guy. No bad blood, nothing like that. We've played 2 matches in the past, and what happened was we played once in Rhode Island like 10 years ago during a Seminole event back when that was a thing. And it just was one of those sets. I played a great set and ended up beating him 8-1. And then I played him like a year and a half ago at some tournament in Virginia, and it was to get into the money. And it was race to 9. And I just possibly played the best set of my life and beat him 9-0. And it was one. So now it's like, so it's like you do that, and now I'm going to be playing him again. It's like maybe the 2 best sets of pool I've ever played were against the guy. And now it's like, okay, now I got to play him again first round. I know that he's going to be like kind of tired of me and ready to like hit me with his knockout punch. So like I'm expecting him to play like the best set of pool I've ever seen. And so it's a hard one to follow when you know what I mean? When you have a couple matches like that, it's like, well, how do you got to do it again. And anyway, it just creates a funny dynamic where I know he's going to be coming for me. He's a hell of a player, and he's going to get me.
Sounds like you could play 80% and win 9-6.
What's that?
Sounds like you could play 80% and win 9-6.
Well, but then the hell of it is, and then of course, if I happen to get by Matt, which I'm not at all saying that's going to happen, but if I were to win that match, then it looks like I play the winner of someone in Koping Yi. So then it's like, assuming I can handle the pressure, play my best game, overcome Matt, then it's like, it's really hard when you're a player that's not at the top level to formulate any kind of it's hard to have a winning game plan. You know what I mean? It's hard to have a winning game plan when you just see this army of like all just elite players. So then you just gotta, I understand. You gotta let it go. Of course, you're just gonna go out there, have fun, play your best game, do what you practice, and then the chips fall where they fall. And if you don't get far, that's because other people have put in more and developed further than you. But this is all, my point is, if I get anxious, I get nervous before the tournaments, and I work through my nerves a week ahead of time, and then I go out and see what happens.
So I think I know your plan, but I think you're a little late to start it. What you needed to do was grow out your beard to here, and then right when you're about to play Koping Yi, you tag in Al Yosef to play for you. And
exactly.
You guys look exactly alike if you'd have your beard down to here. And then, you got a real swing at it. You just let him play for you.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah. And then, okay. So then,
he's not
this comment, this type of stuff there's a comment kind of that's basically kind of like, just play your game, play the table. What's the problem? Like, I disagree. I think that's there's a quote. There is no difference between theory and practice. In theory, but there isn't practice. And the idea of just like when people tell me just go play the table, just go play the table. They put their pants on one leg at a time. Just go play the table. Don't let it bother you. It's like, yeah, that just tells me that that person is that's not like Neil Spigen has this whole mental course on mental preparation and stuff. And it's not a 5-minute just play the table and don't let it bother you. That's not it. I mean, anyway, I'm sorry, I disagree.
Well, yeah, if the game was Fedor's made like $200,000 this year on people who say just play the table. So
that's right. I think just play the table is about the equivalent of saying. So when little Chris, of course, Mosconi's advice was don't miss. Like it's humorous, right? When people say don't miss, it's a joke because it's like, yeah, if only it was that easy. But somehow when people say just play the table, they actually mean it. And so I disagree. I think that the mental game, there's a reason why. Anyway,
and the mental game is something that takes time to learn because each time you play, you gain experience from that you add to your mental game arsenal, right? I mean, Niels came up with this whole mental course, not on the second year that he was playing pool, on the 30th year he was playing pool, right? So it is. I mean, there's a lot more pressure on you putting on yourself, I'm sure, because you're just not out there with these guys as often. So you don't have all those experiences and the ups and downs and the mental approach and how do you change for the next time. It could be 6 months later. You probably forgot what the hell happened the time before. So it's great experience. It's got to be a lot of fun for you. You got to be looking forward to it. Anxious to see how you do.
That's right. That's exactly what happened at Turning Stone is I hadn't played for 6 months. And so basically how I look at it is if you hadn't played one pocket for a year and then you played a one pocket tournament, it would be a little bit weird. Like there's certain things where it's like after playing a bad set or two and you're selling out some banks and you're not really used to being in this spot and you're not comfortable hitting certain shots, you might play a little patchy. Or for me, if I go and play in a really, really, really tight table, like a super shimmed up 9-foot with like trapped out pockets, my first couple hours playing on that sucker might be a little rough. And then once I put in a rough session or two and I kind of get used to it so that every shot doesn't psych me out and I'm kind of budgeted for the right level of adversity on every shot, you kind of acclimate a little bit. And so I think pressure is no different. When you're playing under a lot of pressure against top players, when you're playing in your basement and training, you don't face the same types of challenges that you don't have the same thought about, man, if I win this game, I have a shot to beat so-and-so. Or if I miss this game, he's never going to let me get back to the table. Or man, I'm down 5-1. If I don't win from here, I might not get another chance. You're not going to be thinking those same thoughts when you're in your basement. So when you go play in a tournament, you're going to be dealing with adversity that you're not used to overcoming. And so when people are competing a lot, to Mike's point, you're used to those situations and you're seeing those situations a lot. And so when you start having those thoughts, you're like, yeah, that thought again. I know what to do here. Oh, yeah. I remember last time I let that thought derail me. You know what? Let's just do it right this time. It'll feel better. And little by little, you have strategies so you know what adversity you're going to meet mentally and you have plans on how you're going to respond to that. But when you haven't been facing it and you don't have a response for it, I look at it like, I guess there's, in summary, there's two ways of handling mental game. Some people just say, mental game, schmental game. I'm just going to go hit balls and I'm fine. It doesn't exist. And for me, I'm like, no, it's part of the adversity of the game. And I recognize that it's there. I know what I'm up against. I've done it before and it's not easy, but that's why I love to play is because I like to challenge myself and I'm looking forward to facing mental challenges as well as the physical challenges and see what happens.
Yeah. Sure. No, it'll be fun.
Okay. Well, I'll be looking forward to watching you play some. You want to say something, Mike?
No, he was talking about his draw, picking Matt, and then he played Copini. I do want to point out how excited I am to see round 4 potential of Federer playing Josh. They would be round 4 on the winner's side. That would be that would be something to watch. It'll probably won't be on a stream table, but it'll be, we'll get the live scoring.
Is that true? Because that would be the last 32. So when do they do?
Well, they'd have one. The winner of that, I think, would get to, because they're pulling 16. You have to get to the final 16 on the winner side, right? And then the other final 16 comes from the loser side. Isn't that
finals?
Right?
They're doing the
single
redraw.
eliminations final 32, right?
Yeah, so
right. So you get to 16 on the winner side, 16 on the loser side, and then redraw. So the winner of that match, I believe, the 4th round match would get to that 16 on the winner side.
Well, I'm looking at the 4th round in, so the initial round, and then the winners qualification, and then the last 64. So the 4th match. So you're saying the last 64 match?
Yeah.
Okay. To get into the final 32. Okay. Sure. Why not? It'd be fun. Yeah, there's going to be there's a ton of really early on rounds that, some people got some good draws, some people got some really bad draws.
There's some good second and third round matches for sure.
Some really good second round matches. When you have a field like this at 256 players, there's some dead money in there. Of course, there's
256 players. There's a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to
like the whole first round.
Well, yeah, I don't want to pick on the guy that played. Was it Judd last year? Was it Shane? They did a whole piece on him from just a local from the area.
It was the guy who played Judd.
Yeah, he plays okay. He plays fine. He's a good. He's a good.
An AP87, right, or something like that.
Yeah,
I'm getting high rolled by the chat. That's great. That's fine.
Well,
someone needs to start their own podcast.
That's fair.
You could. I don't know. Maybe when you're out on the road, you can set up a challenge match. You guys can play a big set.
Yeah, man. I've played. I'm willing to donate, man. I like getting better.
Yeah, that could end up working out. Set it up. Find out. Let us know where you're at. If you want to play a big set when Demetrius is around, I'm sure he'll reluctantly adhere to it. So, all right. Yeah, let's next week. I'm not sure when we're going to do it next week. We should probably do it maybe on Sunday night or maybe Monday morning or something like that for a podcast if we're going to do one.
I'm going to be Atlantic City Sunday, so I'll be there Sunday afternoon and Monday. Monday I'm going to be buried, but
yeah, so maybe we can do it on Sunday night. We could sit down and just chat about things. Not exactly sure when we'll be able to, but I know I got to set some stuff up for the booth that I'll be working at, but we'll figure it out. We'll figure out a time that works next week.
What booth are you working at the Open?
The onboard one.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Am I playing the U.S. Open? As of right now, I'm not planning on because I'm working at the booth. So that one. So if you're there, swing by the onboard booth. You'll see me. Bring booze, ideally, in the form of beer. I do take bribes. Beer bribes, so go ahead, bring them. I guess I guess we can mention that Oscar lost to John Moore again. That's not a huge surprise. John Moore is playing probably the best pool of his life right now.
He drilled him, man.
What was the score?
25-12. It was like 25-12 or something, wasn't it? It was bad.
It was bad given the race at 25. But how many times have we seen, in a race to 100 that somebody's up 25-12 and by the end it's nip and tuck? That's a big swing. Don't get me wrong, it's a big swing.
I don't know. All I'm saying is this is a guy that I'm counting on in a race to 5. So
yeah, you know what I think though? I think that a lot of players, the way that they handle pressure is by putting themselves in spots where they get beat. I know this is weird, but a lot of players like to book a loss before a big event because it's almost like they want to face their fears, So I'm not saying Oscar was trying to lose. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm saying he booked a really, really tough set. He knows John Moore is playing full time. He knows he's going to be up against it, but he wanted to be tested that way. And I'm sure that he struggled to perform. And I'm sure that part of it was just John Moore played great on him. And part of it was he wasn't ready to fight back against that. But I'm guessing that the timing of that, this is what I'm saying. I'm not saying he was trying to lose, but the timing of it was he wanted to play that match before the U.S. Open. And then after getting, a little shaky and underperforming and getting beat pretty bad, I think he's going to kind of use that to dust himself off and come in okay, now, you know what I mean? I think that was part of his U.S. Open.
He mostly plays to earn money. So I don't think that he was happy losing at all. So,
no, but it's not a coincidence that he played it before the U.S. Open rather than after. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I agree with that too. Oscar's never afraid to get into the box and play
anybody.
Every time that Oscar goes into the ring, you can short of Johnny, you can pretty easily say he's going to be the underdog. When he played Omar Al-Shaheen, he played, John Moore a couple of times. Most of the time when he gets into the ring, he's pretty much the underdog. And he's okay with that. So, takes some heart to do that. All right. Well, I guess that's kind of it. Do you have anything else that you guys want to discuss?
All good.
Okay. No, it's thanks for everybody for tuning in. I had a lot of fun, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, hit them straight.
I gotta go practice preparation and present and pre-er, and I'll do all that.
Just play the table, Demi. Just play the table.
Thanks, man.
I'm gonna do one last little push for these the jerseys that I'm doing for the Mosconi Cup.
Yeah, do it.
They're on a 2-week pre-order. I made up these for our Queued Up Mosconi Cup group. So we are going to be wearing these in the crowd at the Mosconi Cup. If you are going to be at the Mosconi Cup, or if you just really like the way that they look and want to order yourself one, we are going to be doing a pre-order of these for about 2 weeks. You'll have them about 2 weeks before the event if you are going. So get yourself one of these if you want. These are the jackets. These are the T-shirts. And these are the jerseys. These are all made up by Onboard Sportswear. The prices are, the jackets are $70. The jerseys are $60. And the T-shirts are $50. So if you would like to get any of those, here is the link. I will put it in the comments. Here it is. Just click this link, fill out the form for what you want. I will send you over an invoice when that is all done, and you can get yourself a sweet Queue It Up Mosconi Cup jersey, jacket, or T-shirt that we will be wearing in the crowd. And if you just want to have it because you think they look awesome, you don't have to go to the Mosconi Cup to get them. You can get yourself one anyways. So check those out if you'd like. The link is in the description. And I guess because Ryan asked, where I'm also doing a raffle right now. I'm leaving for the Sandcastle Open tomorrow morning. I'm trying to fill up a raffle right now for a limited edition P3 right here. So if you like the look of this cue, you want to try to win it, head over to the Queue It Up Network page or my personal page, Neight Mindham, and you can check out all the ways to get involved with that raffle. Just trying to get it filled for tomorrow so that I don't have to worry about it on the road. Yay! So, all right. Other than that,
click the link and look like you belong.
Yeah.
Let's go, kids.
Yep, that's it. The 5 Ps, something like that. All right.
That's right.
With that, I will see everybody next week on site from the U.S. Open.
Cool.
I guess we'll all three be there, so maybe we can all sit down. Maybe Demetrius, you just want to focus, but we'll see.
Yeah, once I'm out, I'm sure we can do like a second half of the week kind of update or whatever. Yeah, that sounds good.
Sure. All right, sounds good. Then thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you next week.